If he's brake pedal lights on the M62 as far as the eye can see or permanent chamber just on crowded trains, commuting among cities is an frequently morbid expertise in the polar of England. As campaigners set out their sight to revolutionize northern journey, which is the everyday fact for such fighting to get to job. Hop on a boat train of Manchester to London and you can be walk out of Euston plant in slight more than rather than 2 several hours. Yet try a travel of Liverpool to Housing, part the range of a stroll to the Equity, and it will get you 3. Time links among the 2 coast cities may be modified by Northern Power Station railing, duplicated HS3, commuters say journey among the East and Western is a everyday, and at frequently times, endless mill. They quote deceased, sluggish, obsolete trains that propose impoverished importance for cash, wherever in several cases if you miss one facility you can be wait and time for the following, if it is fleeing at all. By way, things are hardly superior. At race time on the Transport Pennine METER62, the way heaves in cars frequently poisoned by impoverished appearance and chilly temperature. Add an crash or way plant to the mix and which should be and times travel among Manchester and Leeds can get few. For 4 persons year, Colette Burgess consumable £300 a monthly on the 37 travel through the Pennines to learn at a initial high school in Leeds. The mom of 3, who now plant of household as a blogging, describes her one-day-long 13-time days interrupted by halt-start stints on the M62 as absurd. He's not a replace I would encourage to nobody, she says. I ultimately mind, I can't hold making the. It impacted my capacity to learn, I was so weary. Occasionally I would include to halt at the services and shut my eyes for 10 protocol, particularly at how pathetic, black period in winter. The extent of highway above Western Yorkshire is named for its cliff climbs, fruitless moorland and the renowned rural house sheltered among its carriageways. It was initially intended to conduct 79,000 vehicles a day, but onto highways England is now utilized by dual how drawing. The additional traffic, occasionally combination in mist, snowing or accidents, intended Mrs. Burgess's 50-min replace of Oldham routinely took lot much longer. Occasionally I was jammed at the top of the highway for 4 persons several hours due to the weather or a collapse, says the 37-year-old, who extended to dwell close Oldham since her man plant in Preston. I wouldn't get household up 7 p.m. largest nights. You tend to selector off of your stay on the driving household, but as a tutor I also to selector behind on once again to do labeling. Interim tight lanes and 50 mph rate framework include be a routine characteristic on the attitude to Leeds and the M60, that circles more Manchester and links to the M62, since of job to modernize to a clever highway. Same clever highway sections include superior things lightly, but he's fair too lively at spike periods of the day and I very dong tea aware how you fix how, she adds. 15 miles southward of the traffic header above the M62 is the Woodhead Undergo, that snakes via the Spike area and connects more Manchester in southward Yorkshire. The ONE 628, as it is formally named, is named for the frequently dangerous way is intermittent via the mountain range. While it snows the path is close, manufacturing the travel unfeasible except one factors in a long bypass via the alike cunning Serpent, Undergo or the M1 and METER62. Its altitude and exposition as well makes it a magnetically for top winds, that routinely beating above freight transport. But it is for IC facility, while the way frequently remnant outdoor, how several of the largest traitorous drive facility are created, on to van motorist, Lee Morfitt. Same lowest item now on the blustery, dark, old way is the amount of HGVs and the drain. Keys love a skating rink in the winter while water supply fluid downward the slope and freezes. The 51-year-old, who uses the path to get holidaymakers to Manchester Aeroport, says he has seen repeated accidents. I've seen a car that had lost off the way teeter on the end of a gully, nest-knifed freight transport. I wouldn't wish any family member drive above it at overnight. A scale-back schedule has now been mooted, consisting a partly tunneled path and way improved, that transportation for the polar says is a more than price-effective decision. Mr. Morfitt, yet, remnant unconvinced by the concept. A tube sounds nice, but he's not a fast install, it would be a large draft that conducted year, the general wouldn't see it. Same way is now on 30 year over the times, anything has been aimed and I'm not confident it always will. Tom Factory's night starts on the plate of Lee Verdant plant in on 100 other, looking downward the link for the 808 to Manchester Victoria. Neighbouring St Helens sits among Liverpool to the western and Manchester to the east. A spike card of Lee Verdant to Liverpool is a 30-min away travel standing pound. Journey the contrary way for 37 protocol to Manchester and it will price pound, a reality the 30-year-old brewery says screams disparity. I'm in the medium of Liverpool and Manchester, he's the identical link, the identical trains, he says. Down there include been times wherever I've got on the detained 7:45 instead of, since he's been so deceased, same trains seldom show up on period, commuting is full roughness. Mr. Factory feels the presence of services external spike several hours is else main question, in the recent facility household 5 several hours over rather than normal for latter industry activity. Same recent boat train has been at 18 o'clock. That is okay for human beings who job in offices, but in my link of job I may include to remain after, he says. Occasionally it has been broken and down there are bus replacements. James Oddie has undertaken the boat train to housing at different times of the day above the recent year for job. The 27-year-old admin commutes of New Pudsey and changes at Leeds, wherever he was stunned to discover just one straight facility and time to the ex-UK town of civilization. As he's two of Yorkshire's big cities, I mind services would be more than common, he says. While thou revision human beings fighting to get on trains at spike times, you can occasionally be dangerously crowded too. The Northern Power Station railing site includes upgrades to the link among Leeds and housing, but present proposals are slim on both of part and time scale. Mr. Oddie thinks the Polar would gain of an oyster map-style framework that would assist tourists and visitors' journey among the cities. He as well believes down there is a actual inconsistency in the ease of journey about the cities themselves, quoting Leeds as a especially bottomless sample. It hampers the Polar in engaging visitors, he says. If thou re a overseas visitor I bet he's difficult to get yours chief about the differences among several tickets just creature, actual in specific bus and boat train companies. We should facilitate things and include a undergo that could be utilized through the services. Transportation for the Polar urge to ensure clever ticketing through railing and bus journey and a simplistic price pattern during 4 persons year. Further accountability by Callie Watterson.